Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You hate him because he is pro-life, strongest ever. You hate him for fighting for the freedom of our religion to not be persecuted by unfair mandates and limitations on speech. You hate him for not subscribing and shackling us with the religion of climate change and one-sided Paris Accords. You hate him for Israel. You hate him for defending our borders. You hate him for letting families and small businesses keep what they earn, for trying to keep the agents of government off their back. You hate him for putting America first, which is what I thought we do when we swear the oath.
That's Congressman Doug LaMalfa of the 1st District of California up in the northern western part of the state. I can't believe he's been in Congress for all these years, and I never heard of him until this morning, but now I'm a big fan. Welcome to the show, Congressman LaMalfa. Where have you been all these years that I never noticed your service?
Well, we don't always go for the flash and the dash of being on TV all the time and such, but when it really, really counts, like it did the other day, and the message is not getting out about what's really happening with that sham impeachment, that I was very motivated to bring that up.
Yeah, I looked you up on Google just to see, to just get some background on you. And the first thing that popped up was, a letter to the editor or an editorial in your local newspaper in Chico. LaMalfa should resign. So you got to be getting the job done if your local newspaper's calling for you to resign after a speech like that.
Well, in NASCAR, they have a saying: "If you're not rubbing, you're not racing." Right? So we're doing a little more rubbing here lately, because the rhetoric flying around in Washington, D.C., the stuff the media is getting away with, the stuff the Democrats are saying about us having a different opinion from them on the way elections were conducted, or any of it. They're calling for the banning of speech, and they're getting away with it on some of these social media platforms. And we got to call it out, or we're going to see our freedoms erode like nothing we've ever imagined in this country and in this timeline. And Biden's all too ready to hand it out. I heard him. I heard the plagiarized speech as we were warming up here. This guy's been a fraud for a long time.
He has.
At least he was a nicer guy 10 to 12 years ago. And the senators, they used to pride themselves on being able to be a little more collegial.
Comedy, they called it. COMITY, comedy.
Yeah. So the old Joe Biden, he's probably a guy you can get along with when you have to try and get something done bipartisan. This new Joe Biden, who is just catering when they threw the deal together to pump him up in time for the Super Tuesday election last spring. This has been just quite an amazing transition here, and I'm really just concerned for the existence of our basic freedoms. And so, your listeners out there, we got to wake up and be more engaged than ever on preserving our First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and everything else that goes along with what these guys are trying to do. I mean, I live in a rural area here. We have rural issues with forestry and agriculture, and water supply, and mining even. And we need to be able to continue to do these things to have a country that has a source of wealth and a source of production. And these guys are going to kill it all with their administration. Have you seen the freak show of people they're putting in as cabinet members?
We had somebody from America Rising PAC on last hour, and we were just going over the greatest hits of all these people. It's just it really is amazing what they've done. I mean, let me play another of your sound cuts, Congressman LaMalfa, before we go on. This is the beginning of your speech the other day. Cut 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second annual Impeachment Show Extravaganza, brought to you by the censors and left-wing media, the fact-checked ministers of shutdown and big tech, and the Democrat Party.
The second annual impeachment. What a great line. I wish I'd thought of that.
Oh, Jim Jordan invited me. He said, "Hey, Doug, do you want to speak there?" He was presiding over our time on the Republican side. He said, "You know what, Jim? I think I will today." So I went in the side room there and spent a few minutes tapping that thing out, and I said, "What are we looking at here?" He said, "We're looking at a sideshow. This is actually being turned into a carnival here. And impeachment should be a very, very serious proceeding, used only in the extremes. And this is the second annual one, right? I mean, are you kidding me? We had 8 months it took to try and put together some type of COVID relief package to follow up on the other one in March, and Mrs. Pelosi just kept it stalled. 8 months. They managed to put this thing together in 5 days based on the perception that they were trying to sell in the media and amongst themselves of a few words spoken at a rally by the president, somehow inciting. You know, so it's and the media is all bought in. They've responded, and that's why you said that to editorial on the Chico paper. Also, the two largest papers in my district are both saying, "Hey, it's time for you to resign because you're being seditious. You're being undermining the Constitution." Last I saw of the Constitution, it said our job is to certify electors based on their accuracy. And so what we did on the 6th was about asking those questions. We received a late letter from the Pennsylvania legislature saying, "Hey, guys, would you hold off on certifying these electors because we're finding more problems at this late date than we ever imagined, 6 weeks ago when they went and certified them." So we're doing our diligence on this. And the American people still are going to have a lot of questions about that. We didn't get a chance to answer them.
Yeah, I know, and and you're right. The things that all of you guys are being accused of. I saw today Madison Cawthorn, the young rookie freshman congressman from North Carolina, he took Mark Meadows' seat. Did you see what his opponent said today? His opponent was apparently a prosecutor in some of the Gitmo things. His name is Mo Davis, and he said that Madison Cawthorn, the guy in the wheelchair, he's 25, young Republican.
Really nice young man. Great guy, yeah.
Yeah. It's time to start a domestic war. He said it's time to start this is what Mo Davis said, his opponent, who was defeated. Talk about bitterness. It's time we start a domestic war on sedition by American terrorists. And he said that Madison Cawthorn, this nice young man from 25 years old from Western North Carolina, has done more as a terrorist than the 95% of the terrorists he prosecuted at Gitmo. Can you believe that?
Oh, I can't believe it, yet I do believe it, because these guys are all about over-the-top rhetoric that isn't even accurate. And so we have to hope that the American public, the voters, hear this and understand how ridiculous it is. I don't have big enough words to describe beyond ridiculous, colossally ridiculous. It's galactically ridiculous of what they're trying to get away with, and the lapdog media is letting them. They're helping in it. As I mentioned, I have the two largest newspapers in my pretty good-sized district here that are both saying I should resign for sedition and for going against the Constitution. Now, these are out-of-town newspaper ownership. They're not from my rural area. And so, this is we got a huge battle here. And I'm not worried about these newspapers. Nobody reads them anyway. But it's more of an issue that this is the base level of the conversation now of how low it's going.
It's just so telling that you engage in part of your duties as a congressman, and the newspapers demand that you resign because you're some kind of traitor. And Jim McGovern is demanding that Jim Jordan, acknowledge that the election was fair and square. After 4 years ago, he's challenging Trump's election. He's doing the same thing. Was he engaging in sedition 4 years ago, Jim McGovern from Worcester, Massachusetts? I don't think so.
Well, I guess we didn't think of that on our side. Are we naive or dumb, or do we think like there's a process involved, and that when he acknowledged the election, that it's over with? I mean, we accepted the Obama election twice, but this one here is hard to accept because there's just too many improprieties that have not been answered in the minds of many of us as well as American people. And we were right to do that, and we were right to continue. But we're going to have an inauguration tomorrow, and the whole focus, I guess, changes. And but for anybody listening still wonders, I think they're still right to wonder that.
Let me play one more cut from your speech. This was one of these 90 seconds you have, right? I mean, this was a pretty brief statement that you made on the floor, correct?
Well, I was allowed 16. I was allowed 16. They gave me an extra 15. So yeah.
You packed a lot in there, Congressman LaMalfa. Let's play cut 6.
Today, the second annual impeachment of President Trump isn't really about actual words spoken out of rally. No. This is all about, Madam Speaker, the unbridled hatred of this president. You use any extreme language and any process to oppose the core of what he has really fought for.
That is so true. He said, let's go down to the Capitol and demonstrate peacefully and patriotically. And you talk to people. I'm sure you talk to them. I talk to them where I am, and everybody listening and watching talks to people. And they say, he incited the violence. He told them to go wild. He didn't say anything like that. If anybody would take the time to read the transcript, they would see he said nothing like that.
I read the transcript myself, so I'd be informed and be able to address that. And there's nothing in there that normal people wouldn't say at any kind of rally where you're trying to get your people excited to make change, to hold your line. You know, I mean, yeah, we're going to take back the Capitol. We're going to take back our country. Those are now seditious words. You know, I mean, that's now if he actually said, you know, go do something super radical, that would be a different thing. And so I'm disappointed that some of my colleagues, in calling for or going along with the impeachment on the Republican side, didn't think that through more. And I think it's just a disservice. But you know, Howie, the more time that goes by here, the more that it comes out that this was already planned by some of these people doing the damage.
Right.
That this wasn't spontaneous. So if it wasn't spontaneous, then it couldn't have had anything to do with the speech. Therefore, the whole premise for the impeachment being that he inspired via a speech the acts that took place on January 6th was, again, that being the basis for impeachment. And then, so that case gets worse and worse. By the time, you know, Mrs. P actually carries this thing over to the Senate, which she hasn't done yet, then they're going to have, it's going to be so frivolous that anybody that casts an aye vote in the Senate, even Democrats, would have to be embarrassed by how skinny that is.
Have you talked to any of the? Have you talked to any of the Republicans, the 10 Republicans who voted for this impeachment?
I haven't. You know, as soon as we were done, it was everybody scattered to get out of town again, and I didn't. I have one of them's a pretty good friend, and I would like to get with them sometime. But there's others that. I think they were just trying to save their skin or something. And, you know, I don't really want to, I don't know. I don't want to run the other guys down and such, but it's just, it was really disappointing on that. And I don't know how they are going. Well, some of them will be in pretty big trouble with their constituents.
Yeah, I think Liz Cheney's got a few questions about her future. Doug LaMalfa, congressman from the first.
That goes within the conference too. That's even within the conference. There's an uprising on that as well.
Oh, that's right, because she has a position of leadership, and you guys all the Republicans, the 200 plus Republicans, have to vote on her, right?
Yeah. So that something may develop there. So keep your ears open on that.
All right. I hope we can talk to you again, Doug LaMalfa. I really, like I said, that's a line I'm going to remember for a long time. The second annual impeachment of Donald Trump. That's a keeper.
Hold on to your hat. Hold on to your hat, because the stuff still. You know, we have this guy Steve Cohen impugning our National Guard as somehow being part of a terrorist activity, because they might probably 75-80% of them have likely Trump voters, and so they're trying to impugn those guys that are guarding the same Capitol right now. So we got a long ways to go to get through the woods on this, sir.
Right. And he said 90% of them are white. That's another drawback, apparently, in Steve Cohen's sick world. He's Lord. I don't envy you spending time with those people, including the people in your own delegation from the Golden State.
Well, God has given me a patience somehow to deal with this, so I get through. So prayers appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you. That's Doug LaMalfa, the congressman from the 1st District. Who would you least rather sit down with? I'm just thinking of these: Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, that that woman, what's her name, Bass or Bass? Oh, there's so many people in the California delegation. Good news is, because everyone's leaving California, there's going to be one less of them after the redistricting. I hope it's not someone like Doug LaMalfa or Devin Nunes who gets eliminated, though. That's what usually happens, or sometimes happens anyway. Thank you, Doug LaMalfa. We'll be talking to you again. Great job on the floor of the House. I recently had a dental emergency. It was last summer. And where did I go? Perfect Smiles in Nashua. I've said this before, but I was reminded of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer and a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. We're in a climate right now where a lot of people don't want to go into the city. Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols they've taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. And a lot of those state-of-the-art safety protocols, they've actually made it more pleasurable to go to the dentist. It's something you wouldn't believe, but it's actually true. I can tell you from firsthand. And again, it's Perfect Smiles, very easy to get to right off the interstate. Parking is plentiful. Parking is free. It's a snap. And the treatment is just beyond belief. It's the best dental work you'll ever get. To see for yourself and get your perfect smile, call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile, change your life. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.
Thanks.